1452 pass, and I think everybody in this room would agree it's been explained ad nauseum with the amendment.
Thank you, Senator. Question is, shall the bill pass? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote?
Mr. President.
The clerk will strike the board. Senator from Powhatan, Senator Watkins.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this piece of legislation now really makes a far reach beyond what was intended by anyone. I question whether or not we are actually changing the subject of the bill and the intent of the bill from one of being that of extending a transient occupancy tax to, in fact, one of removing several. And I realize that, what brought this about, I commented yesterday and requested that we go by for the day. And I think that we really need to think about what we want to do with this piece of legislation. And quite frankly, the best disposition for this bill right now is to just kill it. It shouldn't go any further. Just kill the bill. We are not down here to try and burden local governments and to try and burden the people of our different communities. But that's what we're about ready to do. And you can say, well, we're just going to do it and they'll take care of it in the House. Well, we know how, let's just say, upset our friends down at the other end of the hall get at times. And we don't need to go through that. We really don't need to do that. I think that the original intent of the bill, like I've said, I have voted for these bills myself because most of the local governments come to us and say we need help, and we try to provide help. We try to work with them to make government work better for all of us. They are the people that are members of the boards of supervisors and city councils. I think have one of the toughest jobs in this state because they are right next to the people. And when they ask for something, they do it for a reason. They have good intentions. And quite frankly, they're going to stand for election this fall just like all the rest of us. But when we come with a piece of legislation, I realize there's disagreement on whether this should be, we should allow this or we shouldn't. Well, we've traditionally allowed it. I just think that the disposition of this bill right now to do what this bill would do right now is wrong. So I would hope that you would seriously consider just putting a red vote on it because that's what it needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the bill, Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Howe.
Not intended to get into the debate on where we are on this bill, but I feel compelled, since it is a delegate that I have the good pleasure of representing Madison County. The bill that the delegate brings here, and I'm glad to support it, would merely add Madison County to the list of many localities that have this option. So despite, however, we may feel about what has transpired on the floor amendment, if we kill the bill, this would not allow the delegate to continue having his bill, which rightly becomes before this body. So I hope, while we still struggle with the dynamics that's going on with the amendments that have been added to the bill, I hope we won't lose sight that the delegate deserves to have his bill voted on. As if these amendments are successful here in the Senate, they'll go back to the House, the normal routine of accepting or rejecting amendments. But I hope we won't retaliate against the delegate's bill merely on the basis of how it has now been amended. Amending bills is the normal process that we all use all the time. Been going through pages of the calendar today, accepting and rejecting each other's amendments. So despite how you may feel about the amendments, despite how you may feel about other, I hope you won't lose sight of Madison County's correct coming here and asking in the delegate's bill being presented. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Senator. Senator from Chesterfield, Senator Martin.
Mr. President.
Senator from Chesterfield, Senator Martin.
President, rising to speak on the bill's passage, and if I may, I began by speaking to the senator from Spotsylvania's remark. I agree that we each have a right to come here and make these requests, and we have a responsibility to make these requests on behalf of our communities. And sometimes I've made requests that have been kind of tough to have to make myself. But what has happened is, in reality, the bill has been amended. And it's been amended in a manner in which it's attracted more no votes, all simply to get at the few people who would have voted no otherwise. So that's the reality. And if you don't want as many no votes, then we can reconsider the vote on the amendment. But again, the reason this is not concerning me as a conflict in my mind, because the question has been, why have I voted against these continually? The fact is that when I have never voted against an occupancy tax that supports, or the continuation of it, when it supports bonds, and even in my area when it has specific purpose, as it did, Mr. President, when we upped it for the convention center not so long ago. It was important to the region, it was important to the state. So I do not see that I am in conflict whatsoever, and I do again appreciate being called out as one who has faithfully opposed these tax increases and in some instances creation of new taxes.
Thanks, Senator. The question is, shall the bill pass? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 22, noes 18.
Ayes 22, noes 18. The bill passes.